All right, what's up, everybody? We'll give people one more minute before we get started, and then we'll run through this quick presentation on the 3-day conjugate method. All right. So today we're going to go over the purpose of the 3-day conjugate method. We're going to go through the structure of the 3-day system. I'll go through the rationale behind it. I'll break down the max effort lower, upper, and dynamic effort combined day. We'll also go through some of the programming periodization. I'm going to pull up some of the workouts we're doing with the guys right now. And then at the very end, I'll answer any questions anyone has. So we'll get straight into it. The concept of the 3-day split started back in really 2011 to 2012 when we started working with some of the MMA fighters. Louis got a quick call from Brock Lesnar's trainer back in the day, seeing if Brock could come do some strength conditioning. Louis turned down that offer because he couldn't do much else because Brock was so strong. And that's where kind of a question came up of, well, why do you not want this person? He goes, well, they need to fight. And that's where we're trying to, the idea of a sport-specific day came to it. So then that's where kind of we started toying around with the term train to get as strong as possible, or sorry, strong as necessary now as possible. Then as the progression kept going, working with Matt, we had to go to powerlifting meets on Saturday, and dynamic effort upper was Saturday, lower was Friday. So we combined both of them into one day. And then Lou said, well, if you can get these guys to do it in one day, they shouldn't be overtrained. So that really, those two little incidences combined together to where we started the 3-day system. And we did different variants between 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, finding that training 3 days a week with one combined dynamic effort day, that's combining both upper and lower, along with accessories for each one, to a max effort lower day and a max effort upper day, done in a 3-day split, allows an athlete an extra day or two to work on skill acquisition, skill development, recovery, whatever they need to work on. It gives an extra day to that, and it's had very high results compared to the 4-day system. If you are a powerlifter or in strength sports, the 4-day system is still the gold standard. There's no point deviating away from that. But the 3-day system for pro athletes gives them that extra fluctuation of a day, which we went from MMA, jiu-jitsu, pro golf, football, boxing, wrestling, you name it. Pretty much the athletes have gone through the gauntlet of it since 2011. We refined it a lot in 2016 to the system we have today, which is the 3-day system. And our training days are Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Tuesday is the dynamic effort combined day. So we have combined both upper and lower. And it really makes the workout pretty dense. There's a lot of volume. So we're achieving a lot with that training day. So when we get into it, we are going to pick 3 compound movements: a bench variation or an overhead variation, squat variation, deadlift variation, and rotate with the same 3-week waves we do for most max effort days, or sorry, for most dynamic effort days. The goal of this is we're going to allow an extra 10 to 20 minutes. So instead of trying to get done in 60, we try to get everything done in 80 minutes or less. And when I pull up the presentation or the workouts that they're doing, you'll see how dense it is. This has became one of the most important days of the training week, and because it allows us to increase their speed, work on weaknesses, increase their conditioning, and we're getting a whole lot of feedback in one training session. So it dictates what's going to happen next week. And the way we run our systems is our athletes train Thursday or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. We train Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we're doing the exact workouts they're doing before they do it, ensuring we know exactly how it feels, what they're going through, and if any adjustments are made. So we don't really plan programming out into the future. We only plan in a 7-day period. So that's how short our planning sessions are, because you don't know what's going to happen next week. But at least we can feel what they're going through. Not one of them is expected to do something we have not. So once we go through the Tuesday combined dynamic effort, we will go on to a max effort lower, which is on Thursday. That is so important because our max effort days are basically our guiding stars. That's ensuring our conditioning is on point, our accessory works are on point, and that we're moving in the right direction. So then from Thursday, go from max effort lower to Saturday, which is max effort upper. Same process, picking accessories based on weaknesses. And we're just ensuring that we're looking for about 5 or 10 pound PRs. We're not looking for huge PRs. We're consistently chipping away. Then the question comes up when you're working with pro athletes, when you say be as strong as necessary, not strong as possible, what is strong as necessary? And that really comes into, for us, it's time. It could, if we get to a certain level of strength, for instance, if you're a 170-pound fighter, we want to ensure you can at least handle your body weight and a half, if not 2 times body weight, just say for upper lower, that's the minimum threshold. Then we look at the hierarchy of weaknesses. Is there any other areas that you would do better focusing on? And if there is, we'll shuffle it up. If not, we'll keep chipping away at that max effort. We're just not going to make as big gains as someone in powerlifting or strength sports is going to, because at the end of the day, we're trying to make better athletes in their given sport rather than better gym lifters. We went to the programming. Let me just share a screen, which should make this a little bit easier. Can everyone see this screen? Yep. Okay. So as you can see, we don't plan out only 7 days at a time, but this gives you an idea of this is a ramp phase. So we're going through a ramp for August. We've got about 4 athletes who are competing in August, so we're trying to ramp up the volume on our dynamic effort combo day. We'll get a heart rate check-in and a body weight check-in for every workout, so we can track that throughout the camps. So what's not here is they'll do a warm-up of their choice for about 10 minutes. The clock doesn't start then. The clock starts as soon as they unrack the squat bar. The timer is on, and we're trying to get this done as fast as possible. And we're moving too fast if technique goes out the window or their heart rate can't get recovered in between exercises. So for this one, we were onto a 5x5. Normally we do 10x2s, but we wanted to change it up so we just don't accommodate or get used to just the 10x2s or 12x2s. So we got 5x5 to a low box and 3 sets of chain. Our training groups are 3. Any more than 3, it just slows down the group too much. The ideal is 2, but 3 is perfect because you only got spotters both sides. Once you execute your box squat, there is the only rest you have is literally going from one exercise to the other. So once they get through 5x5, and it's still the same, it's 50, 55, and 60% of their 1 rep max, plus 3 sets of chains accommodating resistance. Why we like the chains, right now, everyone's gotten so good with bands, they can ride that band groove down and up. So we see people who are doing extraordinary weights with bands, even with new bands. As soon as you change it up to chain, these same athletes who are really good at squatting are nowhere near as competent with the chain, because chain makes you stabilize. It's that dead weight. You don't have that band pulling you down, shooting you back up. So it's good to throw in chains. And 3 sets is just enough weight to make it challenging, especially when they deload on the way up. So when the athletes, the 3 guys get through the 5x5, they'll go straight up to step up with a dumbbell press. So when we do step up to dumbbell press, it's a cross movement. So as you step up with your left leg, your left hand goes up with a dumbbell, and then your right knee comes up. They'll do 3, about the 10 to 12 reps of that each side, then straight over to a glute bridge with a band, and they'll do 3 sets of that. So the anything labeled A in green is a superset. And this is all trying to keep the density intensity in there. So they'll go through that superset. So that one phase is done. Then they'll move on to the 2-inch deficit deadlift, which is on a standard lower body day. It's your squat and your deadlift. So 10 sets of 2. This phase are doing straight weight. So instead of doing 50, 55, or 60, they're doing about 70, 75, and 80%. They will superset that with the torque tank. Sorry, go through the deadlifts, then onto the accessories, which is a superset of torque tank. And this is actually muddled up. The football bar bench press shouldn't be there. There is a med ball 45-degree back extension. That should be there. So that one is incorrect on this. But the reason we like the torque tank is once you get through the torque tank and go to the back extension, that's when you start grabbing for air and it blows up your lower back like there's no tomorrow. We're getting through. So right about this phase, they're about 30 minutes in the workout. So they're starting to crank up pretty fast. Then onto the football bar bench. So we've knocked out the both lower bodies. We have experimented to where we put box squat variant, bench variant, deadlift variant, and it was just too cumbersome to get through efficiently. So knocking out all the lower body in that phase is hugely helpful because it allows us to circle back in at the end for more volume for lower body exercises. Onto the football bar, it's the same. Usually when we're doing 5x5s with the box squats, we're doing 6x6s with the bench. So we're just going through a lot of different variants. Instead of doing the 9 sets of 3 reps, we're doing 6 sets of 6. So it's 2 sets of 6, changing grips. Then on to accessories, dumbbell floor press, superset with a seated unilateral cable row. And once they get through this, we are now looking at about 55 to 60 minutes time frame. They've done this. And then when they're very fatigued, that's when we put in the box jumps with seated leg curls and bands and sit-ups. And this is to where they're like pushing as hard as they can. The record for this workout right now is 63 minutes. And last week at 50%, they were at 75 minutes. So once they adapt into it the next week, they can push, and the goal for week 3 is 60 minutes. Once we get this day done, we'll go on to, so in between max effort lower and dynamic effort lower and upper, we have, we call them PMPs, but it's posture and plyometrics days. That's where we're making sure we're paying attention to anything with our shoulders, with our obliques, with our trunk, making sure we're getting in some plyometrics jumps on a separate day. We were doing all these in one workout, but it became too cumbersome that we're doing a 2-hour workout and it's just too long for most athletes. But by adding this on a separate day, helps with the recovery and helps with the overall consistency of people executing these exercises. We have forgotten a lot about postural exercises, but we had a doctor up and Tommy went through some different postural exercises, which kind of a light bulb went on here to where like we have forgotten all about these, and we were very good at the accessory exercise with weights. But as soon as we started doing some bounding, we realized everyone was very good at lateral bounding, but when it came to forward, they weren't so good because we hadn't practiced it. So having these days is really good for that feedback loop. So we've gone through dynamic effort, upper and lower, plyos and posture, then max effort lower. You'll see here, and I tag team this with Burley. So Burley puts in the stuff for max effort lower. We start off with a quick static hip complex, which is a banded warm-up, which is pulling on your hip socket in all 4 directions. And it takes about 8 minutes to do. Once that, they'll go up to a 1-rep max. This one was an Anderson squat, followed by depth jumps. We don't go any higher than 24 inches for males, 18 for females, into dumbbell lunges, glute ham raises. We use an inverse curl most of the time, but some of the guys and gals, if they're traveling, will use a glute ham raise, into calf raises, hanging leg raise. So you can see there's a big difference in the volume of max effort lower and the dynamic effort lower and upper. but the intensity is way higher in this. So they're lifting a lot more weight and extra sets in between. And these are our guiding stars. So we have a series of about 16 different max effort lifts we rotate in and out of, and we're trying to get records consistently. That lets us know the training and the strength wise is in the right direction. And then the athletes are giving us feedback to see if the transfer of exercise is occurring. That's followed by another plyometrics and posture day. We're doing sled drags in this, along with some core work. Trying to get some rotation into a lot of thoracic rotation, because we want to make sure that these guys are not binding up when they're doing their exercises. And we put in bounding because we've realized that people were not that good going forward compared to lateral. On Saturday, it's on to max effort upper. This same process. We'll do a warm-up, work up to a 1 rep max, and then we're putting in accessories. Now, if you look, there's a lot of accessories in max effort upper compared to lower, but this helps because for most of our athletes, the lower body needs to get a lot more work, and they recover faster from that compared to the upper. And then once they get through this, Sunday and Monday is for them. Usually they'll do something on a Sunday and they'll take 1 day rest, but they get an extra day in compared to the 4-day model, which is hugely important for athletes. And what some of the jiu-jitsu guys will do, they'll use this for an extra technique day or for active rolling. For some of the football players, they've been using this for recovery. They're taking this as a full recovery day where they'll go in and they'll get in cryo or cold plunge, sauna, etc. And then we're back onto the ramp week again. This is up to 55%. And this is just done yesterday. And this is the one where they did this in 63 minutes, 5% increase in this workout compared to this one. And that's really the 3-day system. We took down the volume of plyometrics and posture for this week, and then into another max effort lower, which should be done tomorrow. So let me put this. The biggest aspect of the 3-day system with pro athletes is that we are really focusing on skill acquisition. We want to get them as strong as necessary for their sport. We're trying to reduce the risk of injury occurring, and we want to make sure they're getting better as athletes within their given sport, not in the gym. So by giving them an extra day really has allowed this to occur. Sometimes that extra day may be filled with strength and conditioning work, depending on that hierarchy of needs. But it's been tried and proven in multiple disciplines. We've had great results with it. And that's why we're kind of pushing that more so than the 4-day system with athletes. And I'll repeat again, if you were in powerlifting or strength-based sports like strongman, etc., the 4-day system is tried and trusted. You don't have to go away from that. But if you are a pro athlete, now there can be exceptions made in 2 sports, which is shot put, and if you're a linebacker for football team, like you can get away with the 4-day system. But in generally, if you're working with pro athletes, this 3-day system gives you so much more variance to work with, allows them to acquire skill acquisition, which is huge because skill is going to be hugely important, regardless of what sports you play, and it allows them to recover more. So in a nutshell, that's really it. The key point, 3-day system is the dynamic effort is combined both lower and upper. We stack it out where it's one compound movement followed by accessories. So you have a squat variant with 2 or 3 accessories, deadlift variant, 2 or 3 accessories, bench variant, 2 or 3 accessories, and then we'll probably follow with some sort of conditioning or something that's going to challenge them at the very end to help with endurance. We still have our max effort. We're working up to a 1 rep max. The only exercise we don't do 1 rep max on is a good morning, which we do a triple or a 5 rep max, just because structurally it's not the safest. So for better bang for our buck, we'll do a 3 rep max. followed by accessories, and accessories are still chosen based on weaknesses. So whatever your biggest weakness is number one, number two, and number three, respectively following. And then the next day is max effort upper, same strategy. What's your biggest weakness for upper body? We'll choose that for the first accessory to do, followed by second weakest, all the way down. In between these days, we've added plyometrics and posture. That's just what we do. Postural exercises are super important. And even from our own aspect, we overlook them for far too long. But by putting them in for the last 4 to 6 weeks, it's made a big difference to everyone's endurance and just recovery in general. And those extra 2 days are for your athletes. It's whatever they want to do. And most of them either do recovery or something that's sport specific. In a nutshell, that's the 3-day system. So if anyone has any questions, just unmute and fire them this way. And that's it.
Hey Tom,
Hey buddy, what's up?
how's it going? So for the days in between max effort, upper lower, and then your combine days, for me, I come more of the background of like what John Quint does and
Mhm.
Dr. Andre. So would those be like, and I like depending on what their hierarchy of needs are, would I just assess and target those on those off days, and
It's a
then
sorry.
continue with the 3-day conjugate split um as normal.
It's a great opportunity to do that, especially in depth, because if you're getting into just say any cars, pails and rails, like to where they can really ramp up a person. So
Yeah.
doing those in those days, it's hugely effective.
Okay.
We will do, every athlete has their own warm-up, which they will do based on whatever their needs are.
Mm-hmm.
We want to get our athletes to a level of joint health and capacity, and then we taper off to where there's many different ways to train. Like poor
Yeah.
John and Spina and Shivers will probably ramp up more in joint.
Yeah.
We just do ours on the traditional strength conditioning road. But
Okay.
exactly what you're saying, those days is really, really good for those.
Okay.
And we rotate these every 3 weeks. Those posture and postural or posture and plyometric exercises will change. So
Okay.
you may have some joint work in there. And with their gain access programs, I'm not sure if you've seen them, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we'll rotate through some stuff for the shoulders, some stuff for the lower back, uh,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the time of year. But yeah, long
Yeah.
story short, it's a good
I
idea.
haven't subscribed to Gain Access yet. I definitely want to look into it. But yeah, mainly the beginning of every workout is like priming the respective joints that are catered to that specific exercise, and then moving to the external environment where a lot of those external movements are kind of held. So I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's those days are perfect for that. I think the only difference is, and this is like John is one of my best friends, and we've been working together for a while. It just comes to your philosophy on training. We're going to be always leaning towards strength training and weight-based
Yeah.
exercises. They're going to be joint-based. It doesn't mean either person is right or wrong.
Hmm.
But when our athletes get acquired joint health and we have that range of motion, we're upkeeping it through different exercises. But if we're not,
Absolutely.
then those days come critically important to where we know we're not getting that range of motion. So we'll address it in the postural and plyometric days.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
No problem, buddy. Um, Chris, you mentioned strong as necessary, 2 times body weight. What would you do if you hit that weight goal going forward? Also, would this vary for, say, just the non-strength, non-pro guy who is following the power building program? So the 2 time body weight, once we hit that, we will assess what the athlete needs. If there is an endurance aspect that needs, it comes back to this rotating hierarchy of what an athlete needs. Once we have that baseline strength developed, is there any other areas from a strength conditioning point of view should be at the top? Is it strength endurance? Well, if it is, then we might sub out 1 rep max for 3 5 rep max. So we're actually doing endurance work. Is there a lagging weakness? Is there a postural thing we have to work on? Whatever that is, we'll rotate in and we'll maintain. But if there's nothing there, we will still progress them because we want our athletes to be the strongest in their given sport and weight category as possible. We just don't want to be limited to where we're always trying to get as strong as possible. So it's one of those kind of shitty answers that it depends. But once we hit that, we know we have a level of strength that they can rely on, that they're not going to get overpowered. With this, for the non-strength, non-pro guy, power building, for sure, you can work it in. You just have to ensure that extra day you got back, you're doing something with it. So it may be like what Zach brought up, it may be something for joint capacity. Once you have a goal, then fill that day with it. If you don't have a sport, well, the 4-day system is going to be way better because you're actually training. Like they need this extra day because they might be ramping up for a season where they're not getting extra rest, so they need that for recovery. Or they may have some lagging skill set they have to work on. Like if we work with a wide receiver, they may have to go do hours of catching drills. Well, now they have an extra day to do so. So hopefully that answers that question. Anybody got anything else? Jay, should you use lifting belts, straps, and wraps of any kind? For sure. Everyone here uses belts. Usually when they get up to working weight within any of the exercises, max effort day, we encourage using belts hugely. Straps, we have good long old debates using straps. If you don't have to use them, I wouldn't, but a lot of the grapplers have to save their hands. So they are going to use straps more so than some of the other guys. But I don't see anything wrong with using straps. The only time it becomes an issue is if you're in a power sport and you actually have to deadlift. But I've seen plenty of strong guys have no problem with their grips using straps. But we just want to use straps as an addition, not as a crutch. So for the accessories, we won't really use straps as much, but for main movements we will. And wrist wraps, we're all for them. Like they're anything that will structurally keep you safe and sound and allow you to get that bit more weight out of the exercise, we're all for. All right. Any more questions? Okay. If not, this should have recorded to the cloud. Once it downloads, we will upload this on the Conjugate Club for everyone else to watch. I appreciate everyone turning up, and if you have any questions following this, please put them on the community and we'll be glad to ask or answer them. Yeah, the goal is that as soon as you guys want more topics to talk about, just put in the community and we will be glad to do more of these. All right, appreciate everyone. Thank you.